Locus of control refers to an individual's perception about the underlying main causes of events in their lives. In this video, I'd like to talk to you about why your attitude matters in influencing the outcomes of your life. Coming right up. What is up, everyone? My name is KG and welcome back to my channel. Have you ever wondered why the same people can go through the same unfortunate event, yet one of them can actually end up thriving and growing from that experience while the other one remains run down and possibly depressed? The differentiator between those two people, according to me, is their attitude and their general perspective or outlook on life. There are basically two groups of people or two types of people in life. Group one is the group that believes that things happen to them that they are unable to control, and they consider themselves victims all the time. While group two consists of people that believe that they determine what happens to them, and regardless of what happens to them, it's in their control to decide how to react to that situation and how to basically interpret that situation in a way that will end up empowering them. So those people have a victor mindset or victor's mindset, while the other group have a victim mindset. So it's not what happens to us that matters, but how we choose to interpret those events as well as how we choose to react to them. I mean, there are certain things that we can control and there are things that we can't control. The difference between people with a victim mindset and people with a victor's mindset is that people with a victor's mindset understand that there's certain situations that they can't control, but instead of using that as an excuse to remain in one place, to remain stagnant, to remain in circumstances that they do not enjoy, they sort of look at the silver lining of each cloud and say, how can I use this situation, this so-called unfortunate situation, to empower me? How can I use this situation to learn, to become better, to, how can I grow from this situation, basically? Whereas people with a victim mindset always find excuses, as much as they may be right about the fact that they've been victimized in the past, but they choose to stay there instead of becoming better and growing from that situation and actually somehow using those experiences to grow and to sort of propel them to greater heights. For example, as much as apartheid was an unfair and unjust system which really set back a whole lot of black people, we can't continue using that as an excuse for not growing, for not getting empowered financially. And I understand that the financial system in the world has been intentionally designed to sort of disadvantage certain groups while benefiting others. But even in the same circumstances, even in the same kind of limiting conditions, there are people who have beat the odds. There are people who have still managed to start successful businesses. There are people who managed to grow their income even in the midst of the same challenges that other people are also facing. So the difference there, like I said, is mindset. How do you see yourself? How do you see your past? How do you see the limitations of your past? Are you going to use them to sort of push forward? Or are you going to continue to use them as an excuse for not making things happen for yourself? So people with a victim mindset maintain their victim story as much as it may be true, but they always refer to that and never try to challenge themselves to say, okay, I am a victim of this, but what have I also done to give this situation more power than it actually has? People with a victim mindset generally believe that their past is equals to their future, meaning that if I've been disadvantaged before, if I've been, set back before, then that's exactly what I'm going to get in my future, because my past is equals to my future. I am a disadvantaged person. I am a victim. I am someone who always fails. Another thing is that people with a victim mindset also have what I call, or what is generally called, an entitlement mindset. So they believe that, the government owes them something, as much as the mandate of the government is to obviously make sure that they run the country, or they run their sphere of influence in a way that, makes sense for the citizens, in a way that provides some type of certain opportunities for their citizens. But you can't put everything on external factors, and that's what it means to have an external locus of control. You believe that you have no control whatsoever on, the outcomes of your life. It's either it's the government, it's my friends, it's my boss, it's my employer that is responsible for my condition. If they can change, then I can also change. As much as you may be right about the fact that, there's certain things that are holding you back, there are certain things that are sort of like obstacles in your life. But if you are going to give those things all the power and say, unless these things change, my life is not going to change, then you will remain in that position. Because, like I said, there are certain things that we can control and there are things that we can't control. People that are really beating the odds are those that believe that regardless of the things that I can't control, regardless of the challenges and the obstacles, I can still, make things happen for myself. I can still push through and break through. I can still push through all the challenges and create the life that I would like to have for myself. And for most of these people, they allow every event or every rejection to affect them, to get to them. They have a default setting that says, I can't control anything. If someone hurts me, then that renders me helpless. I'm a victim. I was hurt by my previous partner. I was hurt by the person before that. Therefore, the past is equal to my future. I'm still going to get people hurting me because that's who I am. I am a victim. People always hurt me. And, when you think like that, that's exactly what you're going to get. I always highlight the law of attraction in my videos, that what you think about the most, what you profess the most, is exactly what you get. So what you're doing there is you're creating a vicious cycle of self-sabotage, if I should put it like that, because your misperception or your inaccurate analysis of past events is now influencing your present and your future, even though, whatever that happened to you in the past may have been a real event, may have been something that, worth noting, but don't get stuck in it. Don't let that define you. Whatever people have said about you in the past, whatever mistakes you've made in the past, don't allow that to define you, because if you do, you will remain stuck. You will always feel like you are not in control of what happens in your life. You always feel like everything else has an influence in your life and you have zero influence or zero input in terms of determining what happens to you. People with an internal locus of control always look for ways of benefiting from every situation, even if that situation may be perceived to be a bad situation. But because they understand that life is happening for them and not to them, they always find ways to get something out of an unideal experience. People with an internal locus of control believe that their future is what they make it, as opposed to thinking that the past is equal to their future. People with an internal locus of control understand that even though my past may have been, unpleasant, I have control right now to create the future that I want. If I can change how I think right now, if I can change how I approach certain situations, if I change my habits right now, then that will definitely give me a different outcome in my future. Instead of believing that regardless of what I do right now, my past will always equals my future. People with an internal locus of control believe that they are overcomers. They believe that regardless of what has happened in the past, they can still attain the life that they've always wanted. They believe that they can always, rise above their limitations. They always believe that if they constantly work on improving themselves, their life experience will continue to improve. Another important characteristic of people with an internal locus of control is that they always take responsibility of their actions. They always look for the part they played in creating their own outcomes, instead of blaming things on other people or events or organizations. They always ask the question, what have I done to contribute to this situation, and how can I then do better next time in order to have a different outcome? So if you have a disposition like that, if you have that kind of mindset, you will always grow. You will always get empowered from the challenges of your life. Instead of making the same mistakes over and over again, you will constantly be learning from your mistakes and thus become a better version of yourself continuously. And whether you have an internal or external locus of control, that is not genetic. It's not something that you are born with. It's something that you developed over time based on your experiences, based on the choices you've made, based on the beliefs that you've adopted along your journey. And the great news is that you don't have to stay there. You can change how you see the world. You can change how you interpret the events of your life. You can start today and say, instead of always giving that much power to the challenges of my life, I'm going to change my outlook and look at every situation in a way that it is going to empower you at the end of the day. Someone once said, success is 80% mindset and only 20% mechanics. And I fully agree. For instance, you may have people doing the same job. Maybe it's a sales environment. All of them have the same amount of leads. Yet one person is able to perform consistently. They also experience objections from customers or clients, yet the other person is constantly getting no sales. They're constantly failing. And if you were to really zoom into each person, you will start seeing different character traits in these people, where one person, the person that's making sales consistently under the same challenging circumstances has a better outlook. Maybe they believe that they can make a difference. They believe that the product that they're selling will add value to their customers or clients' lives, whereas the other person hates their job. They hate what they're doing. They hate the process. They hate everything that has to do with what they are doing in their job. And obviously that will then be the energy that they project onto their customers. People can feel, all life is energy, and it is your energy that will somehow influence how your customer reacts, how your client reacts. So dear friend, I'd like to challenge you today to really think about your mindset and the outcomes that you have seen so far in your life. There's a big chance that you've created some of the negative circumstances that you find yourself in, but not all is lost. If you're watching this video, you can still turn it around. You can still take control of your life and say, I am the captain of my own ship. I determine the future that I'm going to experience. I am the captain of my own destiny. As much as there are things that I can't control, I'm going to use the things that I can control to fight back. I'm going to use the things that I can control to actually change the course of my life and move towards the future that I've always envisioned for myself.